Good day, everybody. Thank you so much for being back. This is our second week or second video with Megan Kamei. Megan, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. So those of you who haven't seen our video last week, we will put the link in this video. We spoke about a law called the law of gestation, or why does it sometimes take a while before your dream or your breakthrough or whatever you thought about comes to manifestation. So Megan, again, just quickly tell people who you are, what you do, what you're passionate about, and where you're from.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on again. It's so fun to talk about all this stuff, and especially with like-minded people. And I'm Megan. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, right in the middle. I am a mom of 2 young kids, and I love traveling. I love, obviously, teaching is my passion, and my mission on this lifetime is to raise the vibration of the world, one person at a time. That starts with me. And I do one-on-one coaching as well as teaching group courses in order to fulfill that mission.
That's awesome. Megan, also quickly before we start, tell us if people want to look at more of your things, want to get in contact with you maybe, or see more of your videos, where can they go?
Awesome. So mostly I'm on Instagram. You can see me at Megan S. Kamei. And I also have a YouTube channel, and then my website, megankamei.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I want to mention something, or want to bring back something that you mentioned last time. You spoke about, so we spoke about this whole idea of the law of gestation and the incubation period, and you mentioned, you know, when a seed for a baby is planted in a woman, it takes 280 days. I just know 9 months. I didn't know 9 months was 280 days. Maths wasn't my strong point. And then tell me if I'm right if I say this, because like a lot of times just before you get your breakthrough or your manifestation, it just sometimes feel like all hell is breaking loose. But if you look at a woman before she gives birth, that's when the most like pains and struggles and everything comes in. So it's almost like, you know, yeah. Can you maybe speak to us about why that is?
That's a really good analogy. And as a woman who's birthed a couple of kids and all natural without any drugs or anything like that, it does get worse before it gets better is the case. And it does, I think a really great way to come at this and explain that is to talk about vibration. But and this is something I actually warn people about. I have a series that I've done where one of the modules on it is the dark side of manifesting, because
I love that title. I love it.
It can seem
title.
Everything is falling apart. And I am a very powerful manifester, and when people work with me, they see quite a quantum leap, and they will always have a lot of difficult things that will seem to happen in the process of manifesting the things that they desire. And there's a great explanation for this, but I want to lay a bit of foundational information before getting into it. So what I'm answering the question is, why does it seem to get worse? Why does things seem to fall apart and crumble, and difficult situations happen before we actually see the maturation of our dreams and ideas? So to understand how this works, first and foremost, we have to understand one of the laws, and that's the law of vibration, which states everything vibrates. We live in an ocean of motion. When you zoom into anything, whether it's your body, the table, you know, your water bottle, it's made up of protons, neutrons, electrons, which is energy. It's the God particle. It's this thing that we don't fully really understand. It's in between everything, and it is in everything. And we call this crystal because of the rate that it's vibrating on. We call, you know, this paper because of the way that it's the frequency that it's vibrating on. It previously was called a tree because we gave it the word tree because it was vibrating on that frequency. It's all energy. It's all vibrating. It's all frequency. So first and foremost, we understand that. I remember listening to Bob Proctor. I was at the Paradigm Shift. I was in one of his seminars, and he would have his slide presentation. He would have all these lines. He's like, and they're just these lines on the slide, and he'd say, this is representing all these frequencies. And he would talk about, if you even look at water at one state, one vibration and frequency, it's ice. It heats up a little bit, and then it's water, and we have hot water, and we have cold water, and then even the next and higher frequency of that is steam, and then ether. So we have all these levels of vibration that water goes through and experiences these different states. And he would be like, your goal is the same. Your goal vibrates on a frequency. And he'd have the lines, and then he'd be like, up here, he'd be like, here's your goal. It's vibrating up here, but you're vibrating down here. So if that's the law of vibration, the primary law, the secondary law is the law of attraction, that like attracts like. So if your goal's up here on this frequency, but you're vibrating here, you're not going to attract it and create it because you're not on the same frequency of it. And I was like, okay. And I would try to understand. I'm like, what does that mean? How do I get on the frequency? How does that work? And it's when I came across David Hawkins, where he mapped out human consciousness. And he went through and he utilized emotions as kind of a way to set the stages of those different frequencies. So as humans, that is one of the interesting things that is unique about us, that we have the ability to do. Unlike the animal kingdom and a lot of other things, is we are able to shift our vibration and our frequency by our thoughts and feelings. So this is the map of consciousness. And if you look closely, we've got, down at the bottom, shame is the lowest emotion, the lowest vibration. And again, this isn't low and high, it's just different, but we're going to use low and high terms in order for ease of explanation. But we go up through shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Then there's a tipping point where we move into courage, and we go neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and then enlightenment. So when I saw this, I was like, this is like those lines that Bob Proctor was showing on that slide. And the light bulb went on, and I began to understand, okay, so if my goal is on a frequency, how do I understand the frequency of that goal? And this is where imagination and using, say, for example, visualization comes in to play, because the frequency of the goal for us as a human, how we understand it, is how that goal feels. And Neville Goddard says, feeling is the secret. So if I have a goal and it feels abundant, it feels free. So let's say it's money and it's like a millionaire or something. And you think that being a millionaire, you're going to feel relief, you're going to feel gratitude, you're going to feel ease, you're going to feel secure. For you, that's the frequency of that goal. But and that's going to be somewhere up in these feelings of love and, joy and all this kind of stuff. But you're very likely vibrating maybe down in these emotions of fear and desperation and frustration and impatience and all that kind of stuff. Those aren't the same frequency. So you're not going to attract and create that experience for yourself. So here's the thing. You've been vibrating down here, or wherever, in some area down here. You don't like your job, you're frustrated with life, your partner's not supportive of you, your relationships aren't working, your health isn't great, or whatever, and you're in this vibration. Therefore, you've been attracting and creating this in your life. This is your current experience, your current reality. But now you've been introduced to self-development, you've been started to be introduced that you can create your reality, that you can become a millionaire, you can start that business, which vibrates up here. So how in the world are you going to be able to attract and create it if you exist down here? So here's what happens. The universe is loving and kind and is going to give you, and you've said, this is what I want. And so it's going to support you in what you want. But you can't keep existing down here and get it. So what exists down here? Friends and family, your current job, your current level of income, whatever. It's going to have to get pushed out of your life in order for you to vibrate here and attract and create what you want. So if you're, as a specific example of how this can look like, if you feel like, if you're like, okay, I want to experience love in my life, I want to experience freedom and joy and happiness, because maybe you're thinking of, that ideal partner or the money is going to give that to you. I'll tell you right now, the thing itself isn't going to give it to you, but that's another topic. You think it will. So that's what you're important. It is important.
It's a very important thing to know, because, otherwise And this is also, I do think I want to just mention this, is when we want something, we have to like want it from a place of contentment. We shouldn't want it from a place of emptiness, because as soon as we get it, we are going to feel like, wow, I'm still empty. When I got the money or the partner or the opportunity or the business, I'm still empty on the inside. So I do think it's important just to like mention that so that people will know.
Yeah. So even for example, when I work with someone, they're like, I have a money goal of whatever, $100,000 a month. I will always, first and foremost, I try to get a goal out of someone. If I can't get a goal or what they want out of someone, I won't work with them. Because what we need to know what we want. But the reason I need to know it is because we need to be able to unpack it, because what they're after, the reason that they want the thing is because of the feeling. We are all after a feeling, but we think that thing is going to give us the feeling. That's just part of the journey of our evolving as a human. So we get that idea. What I want to know then I'm like, what I'm interested in is, how does it feel to have that thing? Then I know the feeling that the person is after. And then now we work on feeling that now. And you don't set the goal to get the goal. You set the goal for who you become in the process of achieving it. So and then the interesting thing is you actually begin doing the work required to manifest that goal. And I'll tell you right now, by the time the goal manifests, you actually don't even care that much, because you thought the goal would give you the happiness. In order to attract the goal, you have to do the work to be happy now. And now you're happy. The goals, and then all the things, they come, and you make the money and you attract the part and you have all these things, but you are happy and content and in love and all those sort of things without that stuff. And that's the true gift. That's the reason we do any of this kind of stuff. And as we begin to understand that, a lot of the goals that we set and the things that we think we want start to kind of fade away, because, I actually don't care if I have a Bugatti. I just want to feel powerful. And feeling that powerful, it's a state of mind. It's not by acquiring possessions or anything like that. So, for just to finish off that one thing, for example, when you say you want this abundance and that freedom and whatever, but you have a lot of friends, you're in a friend group, for example, that's very negative. They're like, grumpy. They're focused on all the things that are wrong in the world and the bad economy and all this kind of thing. They're your current friend group. And then what might happen is a fight will happen, a big explosion in the group, and they'll get mad at you and your friendship will fall apart. And in the moment, you're like, this is so terrible. I'm losing all my friends. Why is this happening? And it feels not good in the moment. But the version of you, that part of you, the real you that's experiencing love and freedom and joy, it's not in harmony with that kind of people. And the kind of relationships you said you want to experience is not that thing. So in our small-mindedness in that moment, we're like, everything's falling apart. No, you're getting what you've asked for. You want to experience love and joy. That's not it. So it's falling apart. It's like crumbling. It looks like things are getting worse, but it's actually for your highest good. You are actually getting what you asked for. So it's so important. And when we talked about the law of gestation, this happens during that time period, that you hold the faith, that you keep in nurturing that dream, that thought idea that you have, and that you take the position of witness and you can observe, it's so interesting that this relationship is dissolving. And then you trust the process that is required for the manifestation of what you said that you want. And it is actually for your highest good. And then we become more detached towards everything happening in a certain way that we think it should, and rather trust God, universe, source energy, has the bigger picture, and that we get to surrender to the current of life and go with the flow as those things happen. It'll be a lot easier process if we do that.
I'm thinking about something now, and this is actually something a preacher once said, and I wanna hear what you think about this. I don't know if you know the story of Joseph, but he had this vision and he had this dream that he's going to become the second most powerful person in Egypt, which he eventually did. And he told the story to his brothers, and his brothers then sold him into slavery. And he went, he went to a pit, and then into slavery, and then he went to prison, and all of these things happened to him before he actually became what he visualized. Now, I heard a preacher once said that, and this was long ago, that you shouldn't tell your visions to everybody, because look at what happened to Joseph. And at that time I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, don't tell it to everybody, because look at what happened to Joseph. But as I grew older and as I learned these things, I'm like, but it had to happen to Joseph, right? It was necessary for Joseph to go through that to eventually. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Do you tell people like, this is what you believe for, this is what you're trusting for, or do you kind of keep it a secret?
I would say I choose my close inner circle very wisely. And I don't tell what I'm doing to the majority of people, because the majority of people, they don't know. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how things work. They're clueless. We are in the zombie apocalypse. People are numb from the neck up. And it's a waste of energy and time anyways to engage with this level of thinking. And there's unconditional love for everyone, but there is, in terms of our ability to hold our frequency, vibrational state, I would advise accordingly depending on the person. So when people are early into the manifestation thing, and then they have their dream and they're like, I want to do this thing. They're like a baby, and they're very fragile. For those people, I'm like, do not tell your dreams and what you're doing to your family. Don't tell them to their parents, friends, because they're very weak in their ability to stay strong in their mind and like holding the vibration of what they want. Someone's going to come along and say, well, how are you going to get the money for that? Or you're not smart enough to do that. And they're going to believe them. So for that individual, when they're young and fragile, I'm like, just keep your dreams to yourself. Once because what happens when we're new and fragile in this is like, you can walk into a room and say everybody's negative in that room, and you are in a really good mood, and you walk into that room and everybody's negative, and it will bring down your vibration. You'll start to feel negative and bad too. You aren't very strong yet in your ability to be in your power and be, I'm here. Once we get to the point where we enter a room, everybody in that room is being super negative, you enter that room and you shift the vibration and you raise the vibration of that room, of all those people. That's a very different type of person, and their strength, their vibrational and mental strength, they are not swayed or deterred by others. That person can tell their dreams or say whatever, and someone else can say you're an idiot, and it's not going to faze them at all. They have a strong mind. So to answer your question, I would say it depends on the individual and the strength of their mind and ability to hold their vibrational state, regardless of what else is going on in their environment or what anybody else is saying. But in the process, yes. And like with Joseph, we go through these things and these struggles in our lifetime, and that is required for us to become the person. You can't just be a willy-nilly, like fragile little person and be the second most powerful person. It's not going to work. So this is another thing too, why it gets worse before it gets better. When you set the goal, and it's a big goal, you are going to go through some stuff. You're going to go through some challenges to build your vibrational strength to sustain the goal. A good example of this is bamboo. So there's certain types of bamboo that you plant that seed and you're not going to see anything grow above the ground for 10 years. Because the root system is being established underground. You're not going to see the fruits of that. You have to keep watering it. You have to keep having the faith for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, around the 10-year period, within about a few months, that bamboo just shoots up super high. And we just see the fruit of that seed. And the winds will come along and that bamboo will bend and go back and forth, but it will never be uprooted because the roots are so strong. So for this to have the strength that the bamboo does, it takes 10 years for those roots to be established. There's other trees, they go above ground in like a few months, but the wind will come along and they'll blow over. So if you have a big dream and goal of what you want to accomplish, then be prepared that those roots need to be established. And that's usually going to come through trial and tribulation in order to develop those roots and that strength in order to sustain the goal and not just blow over at the first wind that comes along. So it's all working out for you. Just trust. You just got to trust. And the universe got your back.
Last thing that I want to ask about this story is, and I want to ask your thoughts based on like how we apply it today. If we, one thing that Joseph did when his brothers came, he was actually good to them. He didn't take revenge on them. He didn't treat them badly. Do you think that's a part of your maturity? Because what I heard you say, because when I ask you, do you share your vision to other people? What I heard you say, it depends on two things: your own maturity and the people that you say it to. Mm-hmm. So if people are like, say for instance, I want to become powerful and I want to become rich, but I want to do it because I just want to show off, or I just want to take revenge on the people that said I couldn't do it or that treated me badly. But if you look at the story of Joseph, he was like very good to his brothers. What do you think about that application in our lives today?
Okay. In terms of the story with Joseph, I would say there are people that go out and seek goals and things not for the good of everyone, for their own advantage. And we do see people achieve those goals, even though from our perspective, it might not seem like it's for the good of all. But when we really look at a lot of the very powerful people that have done a lot of good in the world, there is a different energy with that and a different experience and a different response from people. These individuals are honored. These individuals are remembered. Jesus, Gandhi, Buddha, whoever. And so I believe that for the person that sets the intention for good of all, it's a much more powerful experience, as well as the energies that are there are much more drawn to support that type of individual. One of the laws that we have is the law of giving, or the law of reciprocation. It's like what you give is returned back to you multiplied. This is one of the areas, the one time that God told us to test him in the Bible. He's like, bring your stores or your tithes to the storehouse and see that how much you will be abundantly blessed, whatever the quote is. And that we understand when we come with that intention of doing good, of blessing, of caring, of love, the fruits of that are much more rewarding. And so I think people who do, they are doing something for their own gain. They are not working in harmony with the laws, and it will seem apparent that they might get what they are wanting at the moment, but it will come crumbling down. There will be karma is there for everyone. It doesn't matter. And we do see that a lot too, if you pay attention to the media, which I don't anymore, where individuals, have gotten things for themselves in maybe not the most honest way, and a lot of times they're facing the repercussions of that, and it might not even be what you see. It could be self-loathing, hatred, the turmoil within. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but I do see that.
I read it. I don't know if you ever read the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Yes, I have.
Okay. So there was a part in the book that he actually spoke about this, and he said, and he spoke about, one of the, I can call it laws or principles or something that he referred to as is to be good to humanity, or use whatever you have to be good to humanity. And I think one of the things that I decided to do is even if you don't have that abundance that you want, or that you believe for, or that you have faith for right now, but to still be a giver and to still be good to humanity, and not be like, one day when I get it, I'm going to give something, and one day when I get it, I'm going to be good to humanity, because then you also put your subconscious back in that place of, I don't have it yet. One day when I will have it. But if you're a generous person now, if you're a loving person now, if you are good to other people now, even if you haven't received your full manifestation yet, then according to Joseph Murphy in this book, then you're kind of like reminding your subconscious that you are already there.
Yeah. I always say money is a magnifier. If you are stingy and, not giving now, having a bunch of money is not going to change that. And you will feel the need to hoard your money more or something the more you have. So this idea that I'm going to do this thing or become this person once I have money or once this is there, you're lying to yourself. All we have is now. All that's it. We only create in this now moment. You can't create in the past and you can't create in the future. So everything comes down to this moment. Now. And so your ability to create and experience what you want, we can't be putting it off in the future. It doesn't work that way. That's like going to the fire and say, give me heat and then I'll give you wood. It's not how nature, it's just not how it works. We're disillusioned to think that way. And, but nobody ever teaches you this stuff in school. And we sort of think, and we have this whole idea, well, I'll see it when I believe it. No, that isn't how the laws work. You don't get the carrot and then plant the seed. It's opposite. So the process still needs to be there in this now moment that I am. And the way that we do that is by being the thing now. We are generous now. We are kind now. We are loving now. And then those manifestations will happen because we are in the frequency of it. The money will become, we don't feel abundant once we have money. We feel abundant and then the money comes because that's the frequency of having a bunch of money, is the abundance frequency. And then the thing is, you feel abundant, you're going to get lots of money, but you're also going to get lots of beautiful experiences and lots of, wonderful, beautiful people in your life. You're abundant in all areas. How you do anything is how you do everything. So the benefits filter into every area of life. But it's not how it works, that you are going to get the thing and then feel good. It's the other way around.
There are so many things you're saying today. Like, I'm going to watch this again and just take some notes. And there are so many things you're just saying that just blows my mind. So I want to ask two final things, your thoughts on. The first thing, and this is something that I literally just thought about now. You said, a lot of times, things fall apart just before you get your manifestation or your breakthrough because, some things has to get out of your life. Can a person kind of bypass that by just you get rid of the friends that you shouldn't have, you get rid of the job that you shouldn't have, or not?
I don't know if bypass, I would say yes. There's a couple ways you can bypass it, but that's going to take I would say a remarkable person, which I don't necessarily think happens until you go through a bunch of the challenges to become that remarkable. So it's like, can you run a marathon without training and going through the difficulty of it? Yes, it's possible to tune your mind into the strength and ability to do that. But for most people are going to need to go through the training and building up in order to get to that point. So a couple of ways that you could essentially, let's just say, I'm not going to say bypass, but let's say ease the process. You can make some of those decisions and be like, okay, and have the wisdom and the discernment to know that this is not good for me. For example, if you're 100 pounds overweight and you want to be strong, lean, and fit, the smart thing to do, or wise thing, would be to stop eating at McDonald's every day and to get out there and do some exercise and all that kind of stuff. And you make those decisions, and it will be a more enjoyable process, a more, let's say, mentally easy process for you. Because what happens for some people is they are 100 pounds overweight and they have all these unhealthy habits. They want to be strong, lean, and fit, and they're not taking the action towards it. They're not living in harmony with that, what they said that they want, so they'll get a disease. They'll get a sickness that will then force them. Sometimes people don't take action until they get a cancer diagnosis, and then they'll be like, okay, to save my life, I'm going to eat healthy and everything like that. Would have been nice if they would have just started eating healthy before, and then they wouldn't have had to go through cancer. But they're being, sometimes, again, that push seems to need to be there because to give us what we said that we want. So yes, making some smart and good decisions, we can make the process a bit easier. The other way to do this, to lessen the challenges of going through some of these difficult situations, is to learn how to be the witness and the observer. When we're able to take a step back and observe a situation instead of being completely immersed in it, we will definitely lessen the emotional turmoil that we experience going through that situation. So now that we've had this little talk here, and all the viewers are like, okay, now I have an awareness that there can be seemingly challenging things that I'm going to go through that are a part of the process for me to have the thing that I said that I want, that's going to be so worth it. Now when those difficult things happen, now that I have awareness that this is part of the process, I can be like, oh, this is actually a good thing. It's actually, working out for my highest good. And we can be like, we can kind of settle down a little bit when that friendship explodes. And instead of us crying on our pillow and it's so difficult and this person's so mean and everything, and feeling the devastation of that, we can be like, okay, it's interesting that this is happening. I trust the process, and I know that things are working out for my highest good. And now we've saved ourselves an immense amount of emotional turmoil by having that understanding and that awareness. And the more you go through this, because the thing is, you're going to set the goal, you're going to go through a difficult time, and all these things are going to happen to get out of your life. You're going to achieve that goal, and you're going to keep setting higher goals. You're going to have to keep evolving. We are just like nature. Everything is for expansion and fuller expression. We always have to be growing. So we will continually go through this process again and again. As you know that this is how it works, you flow through it in a much easier way. And as things come and go, you just observe it come and go, and it doesn't eat you up the way it did before. You're not so attached to it. And that, in essence, is a bypass or a way to, go through the experience so it's not so painful.
Wow. Megan, we definitely did not run out of information, but we almost out of time, but I do want to ask one quick final thought on something. And I think we're not trying to say to people, expect bad things to happen now. Go wake up every morning and expect bad things to happen as soon as bad things happen. I want to ask this final question. How do you use your imagination or your expectation as a seed in a time maybe when difficult things are starting to happen?
Okay, so we all have different tools, and depending on the individual, everything I teach comes down to this. It comes down to what you're feeling in this moment. So whatever tools you need to do to help support you, utilize them. Some people it's affirmations, some people it's journaling, some people have vision boards, people use crystals. We do all kinds of different things to help us feel the way we want to feel right now, because that's what we're attracting and creating is through our feelings. So when things are difficult, for me, I, in a sense, use affirmations, but it's not just like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a millionaire. I'm happy, just reciting these things over again. It has to involve emotion. So if things seem like they're going in the way that it's like, this isn't the way I expected, or this isn't my preference for how I would be going through life, this person's doing this thing to me I don't really like very much, I think to myself, okay, the way I'm feeling right now, is this what I want to feel? Is this in alignment with the version of me that I desire to be in the life I want to experience? And if it's not, say someone's being nasty and I'm feeling unappreciated or taken advantage of, I want to experience relationships where I am appreciated and we're loving each other and it's beautiful. So if I had that, I wouldn't be feeling this way of feeling unappreciated and attacked or anything like that. So in that moment, I'll be like, I'll use the power of my mind to shift my focus onto whatever I need to. It could be another relationship, it could be a situation, or it could just be my imagination of what the feeling is of what it is that I desire. And I think, oh, it feels so good to be loved. It feels so good to be free and appreciated. And I shift my vibration in that moment. So I'm nipping it in the bud, because we don't have control over what's happening around us and what other people are doing, but we do have control of how we respond to it. And that is the lesson. That is the reason that, one of the huge reasons we're here is to develop our ability to choose how we feel. Because to the extent you can choose how you feel is to the extent that you can create whatever you want. So in that moment, I do my best, and I'm definitely not perfect at it, to be like, this isn't what I want to feel, and this isn't the reality I want to experience. I'm going to shift myself into the vibration of what it is that I do desire. So the thing is, if our soul has come, Earth is a university, our soul has come here to learn and grow and expand. There's going to be tests. That's how it works. And if you want to develop an ability in something, you're going to have the way that we grow in our ability to do that thing is through resistance. You don't build muscle by sitting and just looking at the weights. You have to lift the weight and then feel the resistance in order for that muscle to build. So as we go through life, there will be those opportunities. If you came into this lifetime and you want to grow in your ability to be patient, you're going to be in situations that patience is required. If everybody's got everything instantly, you're not going to develop that ability. So it's not bad that we go through these experiences. It's actually a gift, because that's what transforms it. That's what makes us grow. That's what gives us the ability to be truly free. So those experiences, don't look at them as bad. Look at them as your teachers and the part of the journey to live the most beautiful and amazing life.
Megan, thank you so much. You just said to the people that all the good things and all the bad things will holistically work together for the good and for the better at the end of the day. Well, these 2 sessions with you were truly amazing. I hope we can do this one day again in the future. And I'm so glad I met you. You've been such an inspiration and such a great teacher in my life. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for being on the channel.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love what you're doing, the work that you're doing. It's so meaningful, and I feel very grateful to be a part of it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching. This was Megan Kamei, and I want to encourage you guys again to go check out her work. You guys are really going to enjoy it. And from Mind Prosperity, we love you, and we'll see you soon again. Goodbye.